This will make a fine addition to Kirk's collection.
Kirk's collection? Roger, roger.
Kuyami, Juski, Chika, Nai. Tong Patoga, Smaktilia. Dabi, Dubong, Kuki, Pankpa. Tong Ituamaji, Human Acting, Inkatune.
Welcome. So, once again, I'm making a video after the event that I intended to make the video at. I've got to get better at that. I don't plan ahead for these things. I always kind of come up with the idea after the fact, so I'm trying to make myself more proactive in planning videos. But I've had a lot going on lately, and I haven't really had time, but trying to get back into it. What I'm here to talk about today is Rebel Scum Con. It was in Dallas, and I went to it and had an amazing time. And I just kind of wanted to give a overview of all the things I saw and what I experienced. It's really hot in this helmet. Oh my god, it's so hot in this helmet. I'm gonna pass out again. I learned about Rebel Scum Con because I was a member of the... I found out about it through other collectors. My original intent in going was that I wanted to check out all the vendors and meet other collectors. So I got tickets, and then I met one of my best friends who happened to live close to the venue. A lot of the advertising seemed to be around getting autographs from actors. I've never had an interest in that. They're making all this money off of nerds, and I just didn't want to contribute to that. But I ended up getting a ton of autographs. I got caught up in the hype and suckered into it, I guess. To me, looking back on it, it was worth it though. Everyone that I met, I got to spend time talking with, and they're good memories. I never liked the idea of just paying to meet someone. I'd rather just have it happen organically, which actually it did happen multiple times, as a lot of the guests were just walking around and interacting with people throughout the event over the weekend. But having a piece of art and a memory attached to something that I grew up loving just seemed worth it to me. So once I saw how much time they were spending with people and how nice everyone seemed to be, I just said, why not? Incredibly glad that I went. It ended up being one of the best weekends I've had in years. As a Star Wars fan, it's hard to imagine going to anything much better.
I sometimes have a love-hate relationship with collecting. I don't like being attached to material things. Stuff like toys just isn't important. It feels hypocritical at times because I do enjoy it. I have a channel centered around it. I always contemplate what it really means and why I do it. I highly suggest you go watch a video titled Star Wars Action Figures from the channel Star Map. It's the best video I've ever seen about the psyche of collecting and what it means to enjoy Star Wars toys. They break it down more eloquently than I ever could. But this convention just further impressed upon me what obviously is the most important, and that's the people. The ones who write and tell the stories, who design and create the art, who bring characters to life, and the community of people to share it all with. I love the Star Wars universe and the stories it tells, but what I really love is getting to experience it all with others, and that's what I got to do at Rebel Scum Con.
It was an event put on by fans for fans, which I feel like I went at the sweet spot. I feel like next year it's probably going to end up a lot bigger, and you may not get that one-on-one interaction that you got at this one. It just seemed to be like the perfect balance of the right amount of people and cool people that were there. So one of the people I got to meet was Matt Wood. He's the senior sound designer at Skywalker Sound, and he does the voice of General Grievous, Battle Droids, Odie Mandrell, Wat Tambor. So he's supremely talented. He's basically studied under Ben Burt for the sound design, and he's doing he does all the major movies and shows, even more than Star Wars. Like, he's works at Skywalker Sound. They do, all kinds of films. And I got to have like a very long conversation with him. In fact, the beginning of the video, the little tag at the beginning is actually him doing that, which was super nice that he spent the time to make that. And couldn't thank him enough. And got a picture with him, and yeah, just super nice guy. What really pushed me over the edge to actually start getting the autographs was when I saw that Alan Risco was there, who played Plo Koon. He was my all-time favorite Jedi. He also played Bib Fortuna in Episode 1, Dalte Dauphine, one of the Nemoidians who blows up in the ship at the end of Episode 1, and as well as Lot Dodd in Episode 2. So he was incredibly nice, super funny, spent a lot of time talking with him. So that... I had to get something signed by him at least. I was like, well, he's here. It's my favorite character. So I ended up getting his, and then it just kind of spiraled. I just kept doing it. So I ended up getting a few things signed from him, and I might show a few of those here. But yeah, just what a cool guy. Spent a lot of time talking to him. Just super nice. Got to meet Andy Seacombe. Plays the voice of Watto. Awesome, really cool guy. He's doing the voice.
So what do you think of that? What do you think of that? It's hot, just like Tatooine, right?
Is that? Why only one sun? What are you talking about? I thought everything was bigger in Texas. Only one sun.
Yeah, super funny. And that was one of the really cool parts about Rebel Scum too. They had a lot of the actors throughout the day would go to these panels where they would speak. And, just give you like stories about behind the scenes when they were working on the films or whatever project it was that they were involved in. And just really cool to get to hear their behind the scenes stories and just their experiences. A lot of cool stuff that I had never heard before. And so if you're interested in stuff like that as a Star Wars fan, I highly suggest trying to go to the next event that they have, because if it's anything like this one, it was one of the best Star Wars experiences you can have, I think, without going to some sort of like massively crowded celebration where you're standing in line for hours and hours and hours on end. Like, there was only a few moments where I was like waiting in line for long periods of time, and most of the time it was like just a few minutes and you were immediately there and just checking everything out, and it never felt like it was like a drag of just like wasting time. Meet Kyle Solar, who plays Cyril from Andor, which I don't know, it felt surreal just meeting that guy, because it was like, he just feels like such a superstar right now with the popularity of Andor. And I literally talked to him for like 15 minutes, I believe. Incredibly nice, just getting to talk about Star Wars and just his experience acting and working on the show. Yeah, awesome. I'm going to say awesome about everyone, because everyone I interacted with was really, really cool. One of the most awesome people I got to meet for me was C. Andrew Nelson, who worked for LucasArts, and he was like a VFX supervisor and senior artist there. So he worked on like some of basically all the early games that I grew up playing, and just mainly like Rebel Assault 2, which is, if you know that game, that's the best. That's one of my all-time favorites. He also played Darth Vader in a lot of those FMV games, as well as he was Darth Vader in the special edition of the movies. So he was the stand-in actor for Darth Vader. And even in like Jedi Knight, there's a few scenes where they use his like feet and hands and stuff, and he's worked on the games as well. He also did visual effects. He went on to do the visual effects for the prequel movies. So supremely talented. I was there for all 3 days. I think I talked to him all 3 days. Just, remembered my name and everything. Just awesome guy. Very cool. Tons of cool stories. Got to learn a lot of facts about the games that I grew up playing, little details and stuff. I'll even tell you the story. So I used to be a huge fan of the Episode 1 game, The Phantom Menace. I used to play that on PC as a kid all the time, one of my favorite games. And there's this cutscene when you're fighting Darth Maul on Tatooine and you escape and you get on the ship. And it shows like the cutscene of the ship leaving, just like it does in the movie. It's flying away, and then it shows Darth Maul deactivate his lightsaber, just like the movie scene. Like, it's almost shot for shot. And I always wondered in the game, because he's holding, instead of Darth Maul's blade, like his hilt, the handle is just an elongated version of Obi-Wan's hilt. And so it looks crazy looking. And I was always, as a kid, I was always so confused why that was a thing. Like, why does he have this giant Obi-Wan lightsaber? And I got to ask him about it, since he worked on the games and the movie, that he was like, well, that scene actually wasn't done, and we didn't have the assets for it. So whoever did that, whoever was doing that scene in the game, I guess just had to use Obi-Wan, a stand-in asset for like Obi-Wan's saber. So I thought that was pretty funny, just these cool little details like that I had always wondered about, and just like getting an answer to the question. If you ever get the dark side ending in Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, and Kyle is sitting on the Imperial throne, and he's watching the hologram of him and his dad, and then he stomps on it. That was actually C. Andrew Nelson's feat. He was crushing it. He had to do the stand-in because they didn't get a shot for it at the time. They had to go back and film that again. So just cool little things like that. Meet Dennis Lawson, who played Wedge Antilles, David Ankrum, who did the voice for Wedge, which I didn't even know that was a thing. I learned that there was they actually use a different guy's voice for Wedge. That was kind of interesting. Talked with Tilby Philpott, who played, he was one of the puppeteers who worked Jabba. He was the left arm and the tongue, so that was pretty cool getting to hear all of his stories as well. And I met Femi Taylor, who played Ula, who gets eaten by the Rancor. I got to meet Mace Tuwani from the Ewok Adventures, who's played by Eric Walker. Cool guy, very funny. I used to rent that movie from Blockbuster all the time back in the day, man. And I almost loved the little niche stuff more than like the the big top drawing actors and stuff. Like, so getting to meet these guys was just super cool. I didn't even know George Lucas had a hand in making that movie. So getting to talk to him and like see like behind the scenes photos and seeing George on the set and like him telling stories about it, that was pretty awesome. Also, one of my favorite moments was I was just roaming around the convention hall and stopped at a booth, and it ended up being the booth of Daryl DePriest, who was the vice president, global brand manager of Hasbro. And he basically released every Star Wars toy that I have now. But I mean, he had a hand in basically everything I have now, which is pretty cool. I got to talk to him basically all 3 days, and I might have another video coming soon, hopefully, that maybe involves a little bit of what we talked about. So I'm pretty excited for that. You'll hopefully get to see what that is not too long from now. But yeah, extremely nice guy, very insightful. Gave me a lot of good advice, as well as a lot of interesting and cool facts about his time working for Hasbro. Also got to see David W. Collins, who is a senior sound designer as well, and he's worked on, man, every game show you could possibly think of. I mean, all the way back to like Star Wars Demolition. Iconic game, Republic Commando. He's done voiceover work too. He's Proxy in The Force Unleashed. He was on multiple panels. He had a booth as well, and I just ran into him walking down the hallway and had a conversation with him. And I experienced that multiple times where I was just walking through the venue hall and, saw someone just said hello and they, ended up talking to me for a few minutes, and it wasn't like they were just, rushing to get to the next place and like, hey, bye, goodbye. No, it was, everyone had felt like they gave you their time. Not what I was originally expecting. I thought it was going to be kind of a walk up, hi, bye, and that's it kind of thing. But no, it was much more down to earth, and it was a large event, but it wasn't too big. So I think it was, like what I was always saying earlier, just the perfect sweet spot. So I guess I'm just going to kind of roll through some footage now and just kind of roaming around the event and the venue. You can see what it looks like. I didn't really go into it expecting to make a big video, so I would have made it a little more structured and pleasing to look at, but it was just kind of documenting, I guess, what I was doing there and just kind of walking around checking things out. So hope you have fun looking at it, and see you soon.
Welcome to Rebel Scum Con. This is General Grievous. Cross them and make them suffer.
Random merch over there.
3 months to do the interior, and of course the interior was never shown on screen. So
It's not as effective. It's not as effective or iconic.
And KB said, there's only one thing that's different. She said, I actually on my Instagram right now, but yeah, I get to bring my card.
Yeah, I know. I need one.
I think so.
3544.
I was like, that's what we heard. And we're like,
Michael Jackson is personally General Kicks me
That's not our ticket. Ours are red. I would.
Chinese takeout. You're ordering Chinese food, right?
General agreements ordering Chinese food or general shows?
Ordering takeout. General agreements needs food too, right?
If you want some beeps, you want me to beep you in? Beep, beep, beep.
Hello? Is this General Joe? I'd like the spicy mandarin chicken, please. And, do you have any of those fresh onions? I don't like the fried kind. Vegetarian. Thank you.
Comes theme of the first movie. It makes perfect sense that she's a Force user and that theme would be that way. And then also, you know, you hear a little bit of she's a scavenger in Force Awakens, so you hear Williams orchestrate with that da-da-da-da-da-da-da, you know, from the Jawa's Sandcrawler theme in A New Hope, before he hits you with da-dee-da-da-da-dee with the strings during the reprise of that theme. Like, he thinks that way, and people think I'm making this up. But that's what composition is. It's about transformation and modulation and things like that, and bringing back repetition of ideas, that kind of thematic writing. You mentioned Ben Burtt and the Pod Racer, like, you know, those sounds, you can hear some of those sounds like in More American Graffiti, you can hear some of those, he's been collecting them for years, and I had an episode called Faster in the Bad Batch Season 2, and I met with the director and he's like, I don't want to use any of Ben's pod race sounds because those are so iconic. You know, that's Mahonic's pod, that's Sebulba's pod, that's, you know, Odie Mandrell's pod, that's Anakin's pod. And so, but I wanted to make it Ben Burtt-like, and I just studied and studied and studied those, and, you know, to see kind of his signature sounds over the years was fascinating, because I found some stuff in the library and I was like, oh, that's too close. And some stuff that was like pleasingly similar, but to get inside the creative head of someone like that, you know, sound design is very similar that way, you know, where it is kind of variations on a theme. And watching what he did in the prequels in particular.
So we were trying to come up with that initial blast sound, because ILM had done this like cool, like sort of reverse visual for it. And we kept going over it and over it, and Ben had we tried all these different sound effects in there, and then Ben in the mix was like, let's just go with nothing. Let's just have nothing. And so we did. We eliminated the first sound, and then it would just do the big explosion. And George loved it. We make a show, and the sounds exist for that show, and then you have another show that's going to have those same things, but the original thing didn't do those moves, or didn't do that particular flyby or landing or any of those things. So you have to create something that Ben has made, and you now have to make a version does more. And the original TIE Fighters were just a bunch of pass-bys, and it wasn't that many things. And so in these new movies now, they're that whole situation when they run. But there's an element of it that's car tires on wet asphalt that has the shh, that's sort of the shimmer sound. Yeah, and then there actually is a legacy sound even that predates Ben that he got from a movie that he really likes that I probably shouldn't say because that's his secret sauce, which was a part of it.
But there's an elephant.
There's an elephant in there as well.
So that's the main sort of yell is a baby elephant screaming, and then the tire going on wet pavement is tremolo. Tremolo does amplitude modulation. So when you add a tremolo, it's like, but that element kind of fell away after A New Hope.
Yeah, that's part of it.
But and then it's funny because when I was cutting Star Wars Resistance, the first episode was this giant TIE fighter, and I was running out of material for X-Wings and TIE fighters, so I found elephant recordings and just pitched them way up, and they would just screech overhead because I read that book.
It's such a great sound.
It's Ben Burtt. That is such a perfect example. The lightsaber is the other most untouchable. Anyway, so we're out of time.
Yeah, we probably.
Oh no! I think he is keeping it.